Today I'm going to be talking about prison reform. The definition of prison reform is the attempt to improve conditions inside prisons, aiming at a more effective penal system. Okay, now I will transition over to the negative side of the judicial system. First, I'd like to talk about the sexual misconduct inside the prison. A will be inmate to employee. And I want to point out the case of Baltimore City correctional officers and inmates having sex and smuggling drugs and contraband inside the prison. I'm going to read an insert from the paper. A majority scandal in the Baltimore City correctional system netted as indicted of 25 people, including 13 prisoners, on charges of drug conspiracy, money laundering, and racketeering. All run through a prison gang operation in which inmates virtually controlled the jail in which they were incarcerated. Federal law enforcement official says that defendants conspired with or took bribes from members of the Black guerrilla family to smuggle drugs, cell phones, and other contraband in and out of Baltimore City Detention Center and several facilities connected to it. 4 female corrections officers named in the indictment even allegedly became pregnant, one of them twice, by the gang's accused ringleader inmate. The scam ran from 2009 through at least February, when it was discovered through a series of inspections by the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. But before it was busted, the gang operated with near complete impunity. In this case, the inmates literally took over the asylum and the detention center became safe havens for the BGF, said Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent. In a statement, law enforcement should not have to concern itself with criminal subjects who have already been arrested and relegated to detention centers. The center of the alleged allegations is White, 36, who was accused of 2009 attempted murder and was being held at the Baltimore City Detention Center awaiting trial. In a transcript of intercepted cell phones call indicated the indictment, he appeared to implicate himself as the leader of the gang and asserted that nothing happened with the jail without his approval. Okay. The next case I want to present, that's one of them. The next case would be inmate to inmate violence. Oh gosh. Sorry. In South Carolina, a man reported getting a job in the 1990s as a guard in the federal prison in Atlanta was not only a way to make more money, it also gave him and his family thought a chance to work in a more professional environment than the South Carolina State Prison where he had worked for several years. I felt that it being the federal government that they ran the things better than they do in the states, said Frederick Washington, who was also a prison guard in the South Carolina system. At least I had the impression up until this happened. Now I feel it's no better than any other system. The brutal fact that changed Mr. Washington's view was the killing of his son last December by an inmate who crushed his skull by striking him repeatedly with the hammer. The slam, the first federal correction officer to be killed in the line of duty since 1987, did more than send shockwaves through the United States Bureau of Prisons. It also came to symbolize the rising violence and brutality of the federal prison system. With Congress having that more drug law violation and violent street crimes should be federal offenses, federal penitentiaries are now housing an increasing number of hardcore criminals who used to go to state penitentiaries. According to the Bureau, 11 inmates were killed by federal prisoners at its federal penitentiaries in the fiscal year that ended last September 30th, as against 6 the previous year. In addition, there were 404 assaults on guards in the last fiscal year, up to 27% from the 318 assaults the year before. 4 attacks by prisoners on other inmates rose to 257 from 218. The increase in the number of assaults occurred at a time when the number of inmates in federal penitentiaries rose by only 3%. The type of person being incarcerated has changed, said Frederick Schott, warden the Atlanta Federal Prison. They're younger, and they have less respect for the rights of people, property, and even after they are incarcerated, they do not have respect for themselves. I absolutely agree with that. It's a lot of violence in the prison system, and I wish that everybody could see it and do something about it. Another case I want to present would be innocent people on death row. The case that I wanted to mainly pinpoint was the Troy Davis case, who the case background reads: in the early morning hours of August 1989, several people, including Troy Davis and Sylvester Coles, were hanging out near a Burger King parking lot adjoining to a Greyhound bus station in Savannah, Georgia. Coles stated arguing with a homeless man named Larry Young, demanding Young's give him a beer. As Young walked away, he was pistol whipped in the head. Police officer Mark LaFell, serving off duty as a security guard at the bus station, responded to the call for help. As he came running to Young's aid, he was shot and killed by the same man who had attacked Young. The day after the shooting, Coles went to the police station with his lawyer and said Troy Davis was the shooter. The major issues that were presented in the case was, since the board last examined Davis' case, 2 additional possible have implicated Sylvester Cole. First is Benjamin Gordon, who clearly testified at the 2010 federal evidentiary hearing that he saw Cole shoot Officer McPhail. Gordon recounted specific details of the shooting that had not been publicized in police reports hours after the shooting, put him across the street from the crime scene at the moment of the shooting. Gordon is related to Coles, has known him all his life, has been ostracized by his family for testifying, and said that he kept quiet all these years for fear Coles retaliating against him. Second is Kiana Glover, who, like Gordon, has no connection to Davis or his family and has known Cole all her life, since she sworn that she heard a Fletcher Cole confess in 2009 to the McPhail murder. Unfortunately, her testimony was excluded at the 2010 evidentiary hearing. Several witnesses has implicated Cole in sworn statements, including 2 others who stated he confessed to the murder. In the investigations, Cole never treated as a suspect, despite the fact that he indisputably was the one who began the altercation with Young and that led to the shooting of Officer McPhail. Several witnesses indicated that only one person was arguing with Young, and this person was also the shooter. Cole admitted at the trial that he was arguing with Young. Further, Cole admitted to having had a .38 caliber revolver that night, the exact type of gun that was used in the actual murder. In 2008, the states submitted to the board a report by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations that purportedly showed that presence of blood on one of the pair of shorts recovered from Davis' home in the days after the murder. Davis' attorney was unaware of the extent of this report. Following the board's denial of clemency in 2008, a DNA serology expert reviewed the full GBI report. The federal court in 2010, after reviewing the new expert analysis, concluded that the short in no way linked Mr. Davis to the murder of Officer McPhail, and found that it's not even clear that the substance was blood. The court concluded that even if the substance was blood, it could have belonged to Mr. Davis. Mr. Larry Young, Officer McPhail, even have gotten onto the shorts entirely apart from the event of that night. Therefore, the value of this item as evidence has been thoroughly challenged. The problem with this case is he went to the Supreme Court and asked for clemency knowing that he was innocent day after day after day, all the way up until the day of his execution, and they ended up still executing him. That's a really big problem because they never know if he actually committed the crime or not. They went off for little or no evidence. As clearly as the paper states, they didn't have evidence that he did anything, but he still died and paid for that crime. Lastly, my other case would be the case against Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was a teen in Florida who was shot and killed by Mr. Zimmerman.
Rub your nose quick, Chucky.
Okay.
He dropped something, Nicole.
That's okay. According to details leaked from the autopsy report, confirmed evidence on Thursday, Martin's death was caused by a single gunshot wound to the chest. One legal expert said that the distance between Zimmerman and Martin at the time of shooting was inevitably be keyed by both sides at the trial. Time and space are often crucial determinants in self-defense cases. Ronald Carlson, professor at the University of Georgia Law, told the Huffington Post, defendants often are at an advantage by saying the attacker was very close to me, I was in imminent danger of death. If the medical examiner who will testify for the state comes forward, the shorter range that's not necessarily inconsistent with Zimmerman's account, but if we're out of 4 feet, then that's going to be very helpful to the prosecutor. If the evidence suggests that the person was not as close, then that puts the kibosh on the defendant's story. Information from Martin's autopsy report was leaked just Monday after medical records from Zimmerman's family physician, specifically specifying his injuries following the attack were released. Those injuries were confirmed Thursday. Carlson said those details align with Zimmerman's account of confrontation. The damage to Zimmerman is clearly corroborated by the injuries, the location, and the severity. He said clearly that was a big conflict going on. But Benjamin Crump, an attorney of Martin's family, said the Zimmerman medical records rose more questions than answers. A number of points remain troubling, Crump said, including the fact that Zimmerman visited his family doctor the day after the shooting. On Wednesday, that Zimmerman sought an appointment with his family doctor to get legal clearance to return to work, which Crump said is clearly an indication that Zimmerman was not badly hurt as his claim. As for the trial itself, Carlson said it could be a challenge for the prosecution simply because Zimmerman is the only witness to Martin's death. The storyline is going to be set first and foremost by the surviving party, he said. It is not some portable, but it certainly gives the edge to opening stages to the defense. Zimmerman here is charged with voluntary manslaughter. I think if you take a life, you repay with another life. So he should actually get the death penalty instead of manslaughter. He's walking free and this boy is dead. In my conclusion, I believe that America has a long way to go to correct all the years of bad behavior in the penal system. It is said that people have to suffer until their voices are heard, if they ever get heard at all. I believe that the president, if it was permitted, to reestablish laws that govern the justice system to make it fair and safe for everyone.